Καλησπέρα σας. Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ που είστε σήμερα εδώ μαζί μας. Είναι μεγάλη χαρά και τιμή να έχουμε μαζί μας το Ramsés Gallego, ο οποίος είναι διεθνής αντιπρόεδρος του Ινστιτούτου. Είχε έρθει στην Ελλάδα για να παρευρεθεί σε ένα συνέδριο που διεξήχθη σήμερα και το οποίο θα γνωρίζετε οι περισσότεροι που είσαστε μέλη μας, διότι είχαμε επικοινωνήσει σχετικά, γιατί ήταν υπό τη δική μας υποστήριξη. Χαιρόμαστε λοιπόν που είστε εδώ. Το cyber security είναι το next big thing. Πολύ συζητιέται το τελευταίο διάστημα. Ο ISACA έχει ευθυγραμμίσει τη στρατηγική τη στρατηγική που ονομάζει 2020 με άξονα το cyber security. Ήδη υπάρχουν αρκετά πράγματα όπως το νέο πρόγραμμα, το cyber security Nexus, το οποίο έχει ξεκινήσει και το οποίο, αν θέλετε, δίνει όλα τα εφόδια στους ανθρώπους που θέλουν να εστιάσουν και να εμβαθύνουν στο συγκεκριμένο χώρο και αρχίζει να αλλάζει, αν θέλετε, το πνεύμα που μέχρι σήμερα ίσχυε στα certifications. Τώρα πια μιλάμε για programs και ουσιαστικά δίνουν όλα τα εφόδια καθ' όλη τη διάρκεια της, που ένας, να το πω έτσι, ένας από εμάς αποφασίζει να πάρει αυτό το δρόμο για το πώς θα μείνει up to date και θα έχει όλα τα tools και όλα τα best practices για να μπορέσει να τα απεξέλθει στους νέους τους ρόλους. Θα μας πει ο Ramsés με το δικό του πάντα τρόπο, έτσι μαγνητίζει το κοινό. Περιμένουμε πώς και πώς να τον δούμε και σήμερα. So Ramsés, it's a great honor to be here with you.
My pleasure.
And so the stage is yours.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. So, when did security become cybersecurity? When did that happen? I have an answer for that. Cybersecurity was born the moment the internet was born. The moment that when we connected the systems and data started to flow, this is when cybersecurity was invented. The thing is that we didn't know it at that time. We didn't understand the implications of my kids dealing with social media, actually playing Farmville online. We didn't understand at that time, the moment that the internet was connected, that data started to flow, and the privacy, let me stress that, privacy defines us as society. We didn't know that at that moment. And suddenly, overnight, when we went to sleep yesterday, and let me put that between inverted commas, of course, but yesterday, it was security, and now it's cyber security. Yesterday, there were attacks, and now suddenly it's cyber attacks. Yesterday, we had threats, and now you cannot go to any conference, and this session is an example of that, without mentioning cyber threats. So good evening. My name is Ramsés Gallego. I'm security strategist and evangelist with Dell software. I'm honored of being here in Athens again, presenting on that very same stage. It's always an honor, so thank you for hosting me once again. I feel privileged of being not just president of the Barcelona chapter, but international vice president for ISACA worldwide. This is my third year and last one, unfortunately. I've been nominated to president. I think I'm not going to make it, but just being nominated for international president is always an honor. We only can serve 3 years as vice presidents. But I'm saying this because the insights and the massive, unique opportunity I'm having flying around the world, literally flying around the world. I've done 26 labs to the world already. I have an application, and we'll talk about applications today, and cyber security and Internet of Things, truly. But I have an application that told me last week that I've just done 1 million kilometers. That's 26 laps and a half around the world, through the equator, by the way, on the big trip. You know, so not too bad. I'm saying this because the insights that I am gaining when I'm meeting students and customers and partners and media. Tomorrow I have a media engagement in the Grand Bretagne Hotel in Syntagma Square. So all that opportunity, what it makes in my big head, it gets on how people are doing things around the world. The importance on culture, on security, the importance on ethics and moral and behavior, the importance of age, because my mother of 69 years old and my daughter of 12, they are two generations apart, and certainly they don't understand security, or they don't see security with the same lenses that I'm seeing security. And that's fundamentally disrupting. I think that's a challenge in itself. I think that's a challenge of us as society. So in the next 57 minutes now, I'm going to be talking about cyber threats, but certainly combining them with Internet of Things. I had an interesting conversation with some of you before on the speed of change, of the 3 V's of change. The 3 V's are the velocity of change, the volume of change, and the variety of change. Velocity, speed, variety of change, and volume of change. But suddenly, whoever coined the term of the 3 V's missed the 4th one, which is the value of change. The value of change. Yesterday, I was honored, and I appreciate, thank you, George, for inviting me yesterday on the expert sessions I did on the speed of change and change as a constant in today's world, that everything changes at the speed of light. And truly, if there's one discipline within the security, excuse me, I meant cyber security, if there's truly one thing that changes at the speed of light, that's cyber threats. That's that thing that overnight became cyber everything, cyber warfare, cyber defense. Okay, so let's go. Let me start just by, let's define threats. Because before, when I was preparing this session, I always do that, I go to the dictionary just to get everyone on the same page. And what the dictionary told me about threats is that it's a statement of an intention of inflicting pain, injury, or damage. I'm going to harm something. It could be as well a person or a thing, a person or a machine, and we'll go into that when we talk about the Internet of Things. But a person or a thing likely to create danger, damage, or harm, or just the possibility of trouble. A threat is the possibility of trouble. Because let me open now the door on minute 4 already on risk management. When you think about risk management, certainly that's the discipline of managing risk. That's obvious. The thing is that we tend to think on risk management on making sure that the things that we don't want to happen don't happen. That's risk management. I don't want to get my house on fire. I don't want to get hit by a truck when I'm crossing the road. That's risk management. You know, I look both sides, all that stuff. You know the drill. But what happened with the positive side of risk management is making sure that the things that you do want to happen actually happen. And very few people think on risk management on that stuff, on that arena. Making sure that the things that need to happen, some authors call that critical success factors, CSFs, critical success factors, the things that need to happen for something to be successful. And when you're dealing with cyber threats, with something, a person or a machine or a thing with the possibility of creating harm or injured, is not only the negative side of risk management, making sure that the bad things don't happen, making sure that the bad guys don't get the information, making sure that my data and health records are not in the wild tomorrow in the paper, but making sure as well that the things that I do want to happen. Why do you think that someone invented the term application control? Because this is the traffic that I want from this side into this side, and anything apart from this traffic is forbidden. All those type of thinking. And when you realize that the Internet of Things or critical infrastructure or SCADA, which is an acronym for critical infrastructure, nuclear plants, energy supplies, facilities, those guys have an absolute understanding what is the allowed traffic and anything which is not that allowed traffic. I'm talking about nuclear power here, or energy, or the water that arrives to your homes and my kids drink. This is the kind of traffic that I want, and anything in the digital world that is not this kind of traffic, I don't want it. So in risk management, and when you're dealing with cyber threats, it's not just avoiding the bad things, but ensuring the right things. Okay, so I wanted to get some definition from the dictionary. But apart from the definition, and the following is a trick I always use on my sessions, because that's my cloud of words. You know, I'm using them, and there are 27 words, or 28 in this slide. So when you deal with cyber threats take many names, take too many forms. Because cyber threats are about phishing. Oh, yes, of course, you know, the email that you receive from a bank, which actually is a fake, but then someone clicks. Probably not me, but my mother will. Probably not me, but certainly my daughter, probably, not certainly an email from a bank, but other phishing. So is this cyber threats about phishing? Oh, yes, it is. Is it about spam? Oh, yeah. I mean, worms? Well, yes. And viruses? True. And hacktivism or hackers? Or oh, yes. And cyber threats, it's about malicious code or disrupting employees or botnets? Yes, 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 yes. Denial of service? Yes. So when we need to understand that everything changes at the speed of light. And in a world where mobility and cloud and technology is so pervasive, there's no business in the world that doesn't rely on a server. Well, probably, you know, the fruit shop that I have on the corner of my building. But, you know, I mean, everything sits on a server. Every transaction, every invoice, everything you buy, at the end of the day, is on a server on premise, or worse, up there in the cloud. So in a world where technology is so pervasive, the bad guys just want to challenge that. And I will go into that in a second. So in a world where mobility has already overcome the number of PCs shipped worldwide, if you are a bad guy, which platform would you attack? Would you write a virus from, you know, for a PC Windows 7 or a Mac? Or would you go for mobility? Billions out there. That's the shift in perception. This has already happened. I'm not talking about the future. I'm talking already about the past. The number of shipments of mobile platforms has already passed the number of shipments. So when I'm meeting developers around the world, and certainly students, and when I'm going through universities because of my job at ISACA and certainly at Dell, I'm hearing a kind of a paradox, but it says, when we develop, Ramsés, when we code, we think mobility first, cloud first. There's no second. Mobility first, cloud first. So, and normally we don't think on that term. You know, in the regular PC connected world, everybody understands that the super user problem, are you familiar with that? The administrator problem, that having full privileged access to a machine, that's bad, because you are God in a machine. And everybody understood that. Actually, probably, when you go to the university, they train you on that. You shouldn't have full privileged access, blah, 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 because that's bad from a security point of view, and even from a common sense point of view. But suddenly came mobility, and I am super user of that platform, and probably all of you. You can go to the App Store or Google Play, a marketplace, you can do whatever you want with your mobiles. Those mobiles, by the way, that go into your corporations or universities, depending if you're a student or an employee, but those little things that we get in our pockets, they rush into the corporate perimeter. They normally go into what it was known as the castle, you know, the frontier, my castle, my rules, my walls, and suddenly, boom, we are penetrating with these tiny devices that I have in my pockets. And that happened overnight, without us noticing, with us accepting that that's the world we live in, and that's fully disruptive. Again, let me bring the combination of the bad guys developing for mobility first, cloud first, in that speedy variety, volume, and velocity of a speedy world. Okay, so suddenly again we went from threats to cyber threats, from security to cyber security, just to realize that, excuse me, just to realize that our friends in the US, they have officially declared, the Pentagon has officially declared cyberspace as the 5th territory of war. Can I repeat that? They have officially declared cyberspace as the 5th territory of war, meaning sea, with the Marines, land, sky, you know, air, so air, sea, and land, space, like space, you know, like the moon and Mars and Jupiter, and cyberspace. Officially declare the 5th territory of war. Actually, in Obama's State of the Union address last year, there were just 6 words, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, devoted to cybersecurity. In this year's address, which actually happened 3 weeks ago, and I was online seeing it because I was really interested, there were 149 words dedicated to cybersecurity. 6 words dedicated to cybersecurity in 2014, 149 words in the State of the Union address of President Obama. Just to say, among many other things, that yes, we're fighting North Korea. Yes, we know it was them, you know, the Sony thing. And yes, we are playing offense now. I mean, offense meaning, offensive. You know, you can play defensive. So we are on attack mode. Check it on the internet. He said so. Actually, he made the analogy of basketball. That basket is that speedy game that you never know if you are attacking or defending. You know, it's so, he actually said, this is a game where we go back and forth. Cybersecurity, the US. And actually, Obama said, and I wrote an article last week, it's on the internet, you can check it, it was published by ISACA, about how 2 giants, like the US and the UK, so Obama and Cameron, decided to cooperate, decided to, let's share information. Because the bad guys are pervasively connected, and they want to make good use, good meaning good for them, but good use of that disconnected security. And we live in a world, and I tweeted the other day, you can follow me on Twitter if you will. No. I tweeted the other day on, this is the year of collaboration. I clearly see, and I know I'm going to sound romantic when I'm going to say that, but I clearly see people from the public sector investing 6 months in the private sector, and people from the private sector just going and doing like a residency or something like that in the public sector. Because we need to communicate. Because the bad guys, they do communicate. Are you familiar with the term APTs, Advanced Persistent Threats? Advanced Persistent Threats, APTs. Okay, now you know. APTs is Advanced Persistent Threats. As the acronym says, there are threats that are very advanced, and there are persistent. Being persistent is being persistent, trying and trying and trying and trying, because I have the time and resources. So someone in the industry invented the term APTs, Advanced Persistent Threats. Okay. Now I am inventing another term. APS, Advanced Persistent Security. You know, the bad guys, they are not Gandalf. They don't use magic. They use technology. They don't use magic wands just to hack your websites. They use technology. And normally, the very same technology, in a way, you know, code and applications, and the very same technology that is in our hands. What's the difference? That they are advanced and they are persistent. So my challenge here to you today is how advanced and how persistent are you? How advanced and how persistent is your security program? How robust and how solid and how good communicated is your security program? So my friends in the US, they have the Department of Homeland Cybersecurity. Everything is cyber. 149 words dedicated in Obama's State of the Union address. Because the realities of this world is what you're going to see on screen. A chaotic world. Let's face it. Let's face it. A new application, a new directory. A new platform, new credentials. A new namespace, and then suddenly came mobility, and then email, and then that's us. That's kind of chaotic, I would say. But that's our reality. And this is not going away. You know, some marketing people invented the cloud, and then analytics, and then social media. This is not going away. We might change the name. You know, cloud computing. I'm starting to, are you familiar with cloud computing, with the term? All right. I'm starting to hear about fog computing. You know, the cloud is in the sky, and now fog computing, again, down to earth, you know, fog, like the fog in the morning. Wow, I mean, yeah, but what that means is that there are trillions of dollars or euros invested into those technologies, and this is not going away. Mobility, do you think mobility is going away? No, because it's cool, and it makes me productive, and I'm always on. So the thing is that you need to adapt and adopt those new technologies with the right mindset. Because the bad guys, The bad guys, they have the right mindset, for them, of course, but they have the right mindset, which is creating harm and destruction, which is being advanced and being persistent. How advanced and how persistent are you? So that's us. Just to remind everyone, you know, are you familiar? I'm sorry for the acronyms, but this is a world of acronyms. Are you familiar with the term BYOD, bring your own device? All right. That sounds like an invitation, doesn't it? Bring it. The thing is that I am bringing it whether you like it or not, because it's sitting on my pocket. It sounds like an invitation. You can bring your own device, you know, bring it. The thing is that I am crossing the perimeters of my company with a device that is far more powerful than anything in the last 15 years. I have more power in my hand now than a mainframe from the 60s or the 70s, which, by the way, was a computer the size of this room. And I have more computing power now in my hand, and certainly you in your pockets. And that happened overnight. And that happened overnight. So what I'm saying is bring your own device. You're familiar with mobility, bring your own device. The problem is that we're missing the point. And certainly the device is a problem. You know, Android, if you're using Android, I love it, but it has some challenges. Apple, I love them, but it has some challenges. The device itself, I'm talking the operating system. And the problem is, what happens with the billions of applications that there are out there? Actually, BYOD, bring your own device, should be bring your own app. Because it's not just the device, which it is, don't get me wrong. I mean, I understand that the piece of hardware and the software inside, that's a problem. But what is really a problem is that application over here. That because I am super user on my platform, because I am God, I actually can install it. And when it asks me about, Ramsés, do you want to be geolocated? Yes, whatever. Yeah, aceptar. That's Spanish, sorry, accept. Accept, whatever. And it was just a game, but it asked me if I want to be geolocated. That's really disruptive, and it happened overnight. And while I do understand, or I guess I do understand that, my daughter of 12 and my mother of 69, they don't understand the implications. So that's the world we live in, and I think that's pretty disruptive. Let me just tell you something. I brought some toys. Unfortunately, I cannot show you working because I lost the battery. But I'm going to pass it, by the way. Don't worry. I have something in my hand. It's called Tile. It's just a mini device. I'm going to pass it over, OK? This is the typical thing that you can stick to your keys or put in the car or just, how you say it, stick it. Thank you. Well, thank you, me. Stick it to your bike. OK. Actually, I can stick it to my laptop here, right? Or whatever. If I lose it, meaning if you steal it from me, I can track this device, certainly here in the Hellenic American Union. It's connected to my phone, and I can track it, like a beep, 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 beep. Of course, if you take it to your home, I cannot do beep, 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 because actually you live 5 kilometers from here. You know what I do? I declare this tile, which remember, it was sticking to my car, or to the keys, or to my bike, or to my computer. I declare it lost. And the rest of the tiles in the world, start looking for my lost device. And they can geolocate it. It is the biggest lost and found I have ever found. Certainly, if you're going to steal something from me, you will go away. You will not stay here. But if I lose my keys, and that's pretty easy in my home, you know, it's under the sofa, I can track up to 1 meter. I'm not talking about GPS here. You know, in GPS, it's plus minus 50 meters or 30 meters. I'm talking about that we live in a world where you go into a store and they know if you are here or here. The technology is called Ibeacon, and that's really disruptive. And you know what? That happened overnight. Apple knows if you are in the aisle A or if you are in the aisle C, up to the meter. And that's really disruptive. It happened overnight. So I have another toy, by the way, but I just wanted you to know that. So that's really challenging. And that's really challenging in terms of my privacy. You know what? I work for Dell Software, and I have a company car. And I have a company car that is owned by Dell, of course. The thing is that because it's their asset, they can trace the car. Actually, they should trace the car. It's their asset. They want to protect it, right? The thing is that because I'm driving the car, actually they can trace me on a Saturday and on a Sunday. You know where I'm going? I have accepted that because I have something which is not mine, is my company car, but they want to protect their asset, I can be geolocated up to the meter, up to the 30. So that's fundamentally challenging my expectations on privacy. I have already accepted, and I mean explicitly accepted by contract, that I'm using the company car, but they will know where I am. Sunday, 3 a.m. in the morning, you know, going out for a drink, they know. Or at least they know that the car is there, you know what I mean? But that, I have accepted it, you know, and we accept, with all of those applications that are coming, we accept that. And that happened overnight. And in terms of cyber threats, that's the platform I would be attacking if I want to create harm and destroy billions of units out there. So my suggestion for you is to have a plan. Whatever the plan is, have a plan. Actually, hope is a bad strategy. Hope doesn't work. And in security, hope is not a good strategy. So you have to have a plan. And I came with this plan. But it's probably very basic, and actually you can map it for those of you who know Edward Deming's cycle, PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act. Does it ring any bell here? You know, Plan, Do, Check, Act, which actually is continuous improvement. You plan, do, check, act again. And when you've acted, plan, do, check, act. Plan, do, check, act. The Japanese people call it Kaizen. K-A-I-Z-E-N. Kaizen, continuous improvement. I am a Six Sigma Black Belt certified professional. Six Sigma is basically getting rid of mistakes. There's nothing wrong on making mistakes. There's something wrong on making the same mistake many times. So Six Sigma came with another acronym, I'm sorry for the acronyms, which is called DMIAC, D-M-I-A-C. Anyway, define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And when you finish, you define, you measure, you analyze, you improve, and control. And when you finish, because you are controlling, you define, you measure, plan, do, check, act. So my approach to threat management, if you will, you detect, you identify, you protect the asset, you eradicate the problem, you recover from the problem, whatever loss has happened, you monitor that you are okay, and you detect again. Plan, do, check, act in a way. You monitor. I've been in a conference today, a very nice conference, by the way, with Wosias, that it was about monitoring 365, 24/7. Monitor, monitor, monitor. And when you finish, keep monitoring just in case. And in a world where everything changes at the speed of light, in a world where governments attack governments, and that has already happened, in a world where companies attack governments, I mean, that companies attack companies, I mean, the citizens attack companies, attack governments because we are upset with the taxes or whatever. Whew, what a star. Everybody attacks everyone, or has the possibility of. Because we get together, we are upset with the government, let's go. Let's bring down the website. And that happens every single morning. Every single morning we take breakfast with some breach. Target in the US, 56 million credit cards. Can I repeat that? 56 million credit cards in just one attack. Home Depot in the US. They are retailers. Talking about retailers like others, you know, Mango, Zara, which by the way are Spanish. But all those shops, you go to the point of sale, you get a USB when nobody sees, and that happens a lot in Mango, by the way. You connect the USB, boom, you're done. Home Depot, 70 million credit cards. 70 million credit cards. One attack. I was talking about velocity of change, variety of change, and volume of change. Certainly there's volume in there. And if I'm the bad guy, I'm not going to try to steal your money today. Because certainly for 70 million credit cards, I'm pretty sure that most of the people have changed, you know, the card and the PIN number. The 70 million, do you think? No. So I have time. I have the data. if just 1% of 56 million credit cards, 70 million credit cards actually don't do nothing, they don't know, they don't care, they think that they were not exposed, just 1%. Just do the math. And that happens as I'm speaking. This is not a presentation about fear. This is a presentation about realities, if I may say, because that has already happened. So have a plan. Whatever you do, don't just cross the fingers. Have a plan, because hope is a very bad strategy. And in terms of a plan, and this is certainly ISACA's intellectual property, I'm sorry, you don't read anything, but anyway, that's what I wanted. Basically is have a plan like this. Have a plan like reduce likelihood, identify, assess options, prepare controls, countermeasures. Anyway, by the way, this presentation is going to be ready. It's going to be available after the session, so you can check it. But whatever, if this doesn't work, have your own. But doing nothing is not an option. Doing nothing is not an option. Albert Einstein said that craziness is being defined by keeping doing the same things and expecting different results. That's being crazy. If you keep doing the same, if tomorrow we don't understand and embrace mobility and cloud and analytics and social media and that digital lifestyle that we have, which I support 100%, don't get me wrong. This is not a session of fear. It's a session of reality. It's a session of protection and defense. So if we don't understand that, we're doomed. Because the APTs, guys, remember 10 minutes ago, advanced persistent threats, they are advanced and they are persistent. All right, so have a plan. And something like understand, again, I'm sorry if you don't read it there, but anyway, how it works. Infection, connection, spread, how it spreads. So this is in here, when you read the slide, it's about the mechanisms that they use. And then it comes with a nice word of zombie networks, which I think is very explicit, what a zombie is, you know, like The Walking Dead, something similar, but with PCs. But that's a reality. Collation, infection, this is how it works, okay? So if I may, I never do that, but let me go out of this presentation. I want to show you other things that probably are interesting in terms of examples. So let me go here. Nope, not this one. Let me go here for a sec, and I want to show. So, are you familiar with what malware is? Okay, malware is a software designed to infiltrate or damage a computer system. That's malware, any type of malware. I'm going to be quick because there are screenshots in my session that I want to share with you that I think that they're really valuable. Okay, it's a bigger problem that we think because malware is now economically motivated. There was a time when it was cool to hack a website. It was nice, you know, to put a picture of a nude girl, of a nude boy, you know, whatever. Now it's a criminal organization. I don't know if you are familiar with an attack that is called ransomware, which basically is that you ask for money. You encrypt the database. They don't want your data, not anymore. They want your money. They don't want your data. They want your money. Why? Because I am encrypting the database, and when you try to access your Excel file or your database or your health records or your invoice information, you say, I'm sorry, this is being encrypted. I have the key. If you want the key, you just pay me 1,000 euros. And by the way, they accept Bitcoins, just in case. That's true. So, but it's funny. So that romantic idea, if romantic applies, that romantic idea of, hey, they want your data, and then they steal your data. Not anymore. They want your money. So it's a criminal, economically motivated organization. I was in Romania 2 weeks ago. Fantastic. Bucharest, amazing. The mountains, the snowy mountains of Poiana Brasov. Fantastic. There's a village in Romania which is being, I cannot pronounce the name of the village. It's non-pronounceable for me, and probably for you. But it is being known as Hackerville. Hackerville. There are boys in their 20s with Ferraris and Porsches and expensive watches. Strangely enough, I mean, not just one, I mean, a lot of them. Actually, I think, and I'm sorry for the stats, but I think that 65% of the people in their 20s, They have an expensive car, expensive clothes, expensive watches. 65%, that's quite strange. I mean, it's out of any probability in Romania, in a small village in the south. Excuse me. It's being known as Hackerville. Why? Because they hack from there. Why? Because it's very difficult, if I'm Spanish, I am, I'm from Barcelona, it's very difficult if I am being hacked from Romania. What do? I go to the police in Spain, and then they tell me, what do you mean? Where the attack came from? Okay, we will investigate. And when they realize, and that can happen, when they realize that it was from Romania, what do? They send the army? They do nothing. Because international legislation is not protecting me. Because it's in Romania, and I live in Spain. So, dismissed. My money is out, of course, or whatever. My credit card information gone, bye-bye. And that's the reality we live in. And that has already happened. So it's a bigger problem than we think. Let me fly, because I want to show you some screenshots. Spyware, you know, spyware is software installed on a computer that gathers information without you knowing it. Sometimes it comes with legal programs or applications. Sometimes you actually installed a tool that it's nice, you know, a search engine or some kind of app with a clock, whatever, and it came with a payload. Why? Because you were a super user in the machine. Because, I mean, when I'm being challenged around the world, Ramsés, why did that happen? That happened to me. Why did that happen? You know, the easy answer, you know what it is? It happened because it could happen. It happened because it was possible to happen. And that's wrong. Because you didn't envision where were the countermeasures that you have to protect. I know it's not easy. What I'm saying is that's the reality we live in, because there's no company in the world that is not reliant on technology. Technology is so pervasive, okay? They come like spyware, adware, or system monitors, okay? Let me fly again, because I want to show you a couple of other things. They're using new methods, you know. Very few people know that chatting, which is a very nice activity, you know, Messenger or Skype or FaceTime or all those type of things, people think, normally organizations think, I am protected for that because I am protecting the email. I am protecting the messaging platform. And this is when you realize, no, just a sec. Those applications, they go through port 80. I'm sorry if I'm getting techie, but I just want to open the doors on, this is not email. This is not collaboration, anything. This is port 80. This is like internet browsing. And it's funny how CIOs and CTOs around the world say, no, I'm protected. I have fully protection of all of my email exchange. I say, really? Are you sure? So are you telling me that you protect every single vector of in and out of your company? That's not true. That's not true. Because actually, when I'm chatting with you over Skype, and actually when I'm playing, I don't have Facebook, but there are games on Facebook, you know, Farmville and Candy Crush and all those type of things. There are games. There are apps that you can actually chat, and you can actually send a file. You can send a file, and that's not email. That's not even chatting. This goes disguised over the Farmville, Candy Crush, or whatever platform you're using. So I'm not sure that we would properly understand the impact of misbehaving on the network, okay? So let me show you, okay. Are you familiar, now this gets interesting. Are you familiar with the term keylogging? A keylogger is something that you log all of the keys, okay? I have found keylogger programs that actually can run on Windows Startup. Not just a program. By the way, my tile is over there, right? I'm going to find it. All right. What I have in my hand, that's a keylogger. It's so tiny. And if you can see it, I'm going to pass it again, but please don't steal it. I cannot locate that. It's a USB thing. It's so tiny. It's a USB dongle. It's something you put in a USB. When my colleague at Dell went for a smoke or went to the toilet, for me it's kind of easy to come to the computer, just to put it in a USB port. As you may imagine, this is highly undetectable, especially if I put it, you know, in the back or just with the keyboard. I mean, you will not notice. I'm going to send it. I'm going to show it to you. It's just a USB thing. You can pass it over. I want it back. Huh? So, the magic thing of that is the following. What it does, it hides the program, so you don't know if you do Control-Alt-Delete, you don't find the program running. What it does, actually from all of the windows or programs that I can see running on that machine, specifically this was banking, I can make a screen capture of that specific window. So I'm not interested in everything you do. I'm interested in what you do on the portfolio application. I'm interested in what you do on finance accounting. I'm interested in what you do making screen captures every 30 seconds, 1 minute. You know, the things that I've just passed, this is about 4 gig or 8 gig. That's a lot in screen capture and key logging, because certainly it's not in high definition. I just want to know what you type. All of your typing, I'm talking about 2 weeks typing. It's just text. 2 weeks typing. And, you know, screen captures of that specific portfolio. Make capture every click. It's highly customizable, really granular. And what I can do on top of that is send it to my iCloud drive or an FTP on a Dropbox machine, and I can do it. And my colleague will notice. And when he or she is out for a smoke again in 2 weeks' time, it's just as easy as taking it out, and then I have 8 gig or 16 gig, I can't remember, a massive amount of data. And that's reality, okay? So the problem of keylogger, I think it's fantastic. So social engineering as well. You familiar, have you ever received an email from a prince in Wachovia or Saudi Arabia that wants to marry you? And, you know, that doesn't happen in real world. And certainly I would delete that email. The question is, what would my daughter do? I mean, what would my wife, no, my mother, what would my mother do? Oh, that's interesting. Let me click. A prince? Yeah, hope. That's not a good strategy. So probably we all here understand that. Some other generations don't. And they belong to society as well. And actually, they're using my computers, my mother and my daughter. So I think that's interesting. So more. And on top of that, if you want to be a hacker, information is readily available. You can go to the internet, and there are, let me go back. I never do that, but I want you to read the following. Sorry for that. You no longer need to go to the university or to go dark just to be a hacker. You go to the website, you go to the internet, and you ask for, I have a Cisco router that I want to hack. My competitor is using a web server. And there are step-by-step guides, actually with exploits, for free. Some of them you have to pay, but for free. That's actually when I looked for the term how to hack this morning, if I recall correctly, it was something like 23 million results. How to hack. You can look it on Google now. How to hack. I'm not sure if it's 2 million or 23 million, but massive. How to hack, okay? As I'm telling you, information readily available. You know, new additions, firewalls, routers, everything that is connected to the internet. Unfortunately, I don't have connection to the internet. Well, I can have connection to the internet, but I have not requested it. I will send you an interesting website. It's called Shodan HQ, S-H-O-D-A-N HQ. Anyway, Shodan HQ. It's the Google of devices connected to the internet opened. Let me repeat that. It's the Google, so you can actually search connected cameras around the world. Boom. I mean, connected cameras with default password in Athens. Boom. Shodan HQ. S-H-O-D-A-N HQ.org, excuse me, .com.org is the Google of connected devices. So talking about the Internet of Things, woo. I'm talking about webcams at homes. You know, I have an alarm at home, and certainly they have webcams. And if it's not properly secured, and certainly it's connected to the internet, to my Wi-Fi, well, you know the story. I'm talking about webcams. I'm talking about, you know, factories Take a look. This is not a fear session. That's a reality session, cyber threats. Okay? Let me move. You know, there are, you visit a website, you click on a link, whatever, Disney or whatever. Take a look at the bottom of the page. Some applications start to deploy, and deploy, and deploy. This is a personal distributed denial of service. It's a denial of service not just against the organization, but me as an employee. The only thing you can do is end task, and then, you know, and that hack or AC key, that's exactly that. You know, to reboot the machine, check. So that's a distributed, that's a denial of service, a personal denial of service. Not just against the organization, but you as an employee. And then you reboot, what, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, you don't know what has happened. Probably you shouldn't be working because maybe there's something installed in here, because you went to a website that looked nice. Because they know, they are advanced and they are persistent. Okay? You certainly do online banking. I do a lot of online banking. I'm traveling around the world, and certainly you connect to your online banking. What is going to happen now, certainly this is a PowerPoint, don't get me wrong, but what is going to happen is something that very few people know. It is technology possible on the fly to mimic, to recreate the same web page on the fly. At the end of the day, this is HTML5 code, you know, with a couple of images. Again, this is PowerPoint, right? But a hostile applet sends you an identical page on the fly. It is being built on the fly. Whatever National Bank of Greece, Alpha Bank, or all of those banks that you're using. And certainly, when you introduce your credentials, they are being sent to the advanced and the persistent guys. All right, let's move. A postcard is being received by email. You open it. An applet executes a funny, or not funny, you decided, animation, you know, Christmas, la 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 la, that's okay, ha ha ha. But what it's doing in reality in the background, and that is not difficult from a technology perspective, because when you open an Excel file or a Word file, the computer knows last file, last saved. You know, you can do that. There's a column where last opened, when you last opened that document, when you created it. So the thing that the applet does, while you are entertained with the lady being nude, it is copying your Word or your Excel document and is being sent over the internet. And that's not technology difficult at all. Okay. Certainly, you received an email with something that looked like a patch, a critical patch from a trusted source, Symantec, McAfee, Dell, Microsoft, you know the names, and you received an X file through email. Really? Do you think that they will send you an email with an executable file? How many people would click? Oh, this is critical. Oh, let me see. This is the latest version of, really? Of course, if you check that, you're doomed, okay? And of course, the ones that touch your heart. Certainly seeing people crying and kids crying, that's bad. I mean, that's a bad sensation. But very few organizations in the world will ask you on a shitty Excel file just to send your credit card information. No, as far as I know, trusted organization, you know, Red Cross and any non-for-profit will, by the way, the kid is crying, can you send me your credit card just to, really? I wouldn't click that. I don't know what my mother would do. Or your wives or husbands. All those people that are not IT savvy. I'm not talking about fear here. I'm talking about realities. All right. So one of my proposals, and I'll be back to the original session, and then I will be finishing, is that idea, and I think that the metaphor works. You tell me if it works or not. But we normally protect our home with a fence, right? I mean, if you have a house or whatever, I think the analogy works. That's a firewall. But that's not enough. Because when you go out, you actually protect it with a dog if you have a garden, right? Again, if you live in a building, you don't do that, but you certainly have different security measures. So a secure content manager would be the dog that is going around. And while the fence will not prevent a bad guy disguised as the postman from entering, because it would say, the fence would say, he looks or she looks like the postman or woman, postwoman, and let him or her into, because it looks like he's the postman, he comes with a package, let him in or let her in. The thing is that the dog knows better, because if he or she is not the postman or the postwoman, the dog will know because they smell. You know where I'm going? So not just one defense, but another defense. But on top of that, if you have a house or a building, you normally install some kind of alarm, detection of alarm, movement, depending on your house. And that's probably the antivirus or the anti-spyware. What was the postman carrying? What's the payload? I need to know it before even entering my home. I need it here, or here, or here. But on top of that, you know, you get an alarm. I have an alarm at home with cameras that can record. Well, you know, this is not rocket science. But why I am buying an alarm? Because all of those measures are good, but you need a kind of a defense in depth. You need layers. Because the advanced persistent threat guys, the bad guys, they are advanced and they are persistent. And you close the door, and then the garage, and then the windows, because you realize all of the in and out vectors, right? You realize that they can go through the door, or through the window, or through the roof, or through the chimney, or. Why has to be IT security different? Okay? And on top of that, you could even create a secure path, the golden brick, like in the Wizard of Oz, which is the VPN, secure remote connections, okay? SSL and VPN connections. So I think that the metaphor works well, just to realize that we have to stop the bad guys from entering, from crossing our perimeter, okay? So let me, hopefully that was interesting. Let me go back to my thing. And I'm going to be finishing in the next 15. Is that okay? Okay. So from ISACA, we provide those, among many other things, we provide those 4 certifications. I'm pretty sure that you're familiar with CISA, CISM, CGEIT, and CIRISC. Auditors, security managers, governance of the enterprise IT, you know, managing the outsourcing, operational levels, value delivered, performance management, and certainly CIRISC, which very few people, by the way, let me tell you an anecdote. This is CIRISC. So it's for risk practitioners. When we were crafting the acronym, we decided that, of course, it's certified in risk, but we call it CIRISC because they see risk. That's funny. Anyway, those four certifications, and I'm getting serious now because this is a session on cybersecurity, on cyber threats. And as he was introducing me, and that's what I got from my Greek, which is none, about CSX. Yeah, he was mentioning something on our new accreditation program. So my new one is CSX, Cybersecurity Nexus. What we want with CSX is to be the center of everything cybersecurity. The X is because this is the nexus of forces. Is where you meet in terms of professional accreditation, networking, deliverables. This is the new approach for ISACA, respecting the past and fully understanding that we have auditors and we come from assurance and we come from controls and we come from security, and that we understood and understand pretty much governance and privacy. The new term is cybersecurity. And we have a full program around cybersecurity nexus, the nexus of everything. And why we realize that? Because my friends at Cisco said that there are 1 million unfilled jobs in cybersecurity. Let me repeat that for a second. I come from Spain. We live in crisis mode. I understand that Greece is, having its time. So there are 1 million unfilled security jobs worldwide. That they required a different set of skills, certainly building on the promises of security, protecting, defending, confidentiality, integrity, availability, but they require to understand the things that I have been telling you in the past 45 minutes. A pervasive world where technology is everything, with social media, with analytics, with cloud, with personal firewalls, with. That's cybersecurity. Check the other. There's too many threats. and too few professionals. Let me show you a couple of other things. That's the black hat in the US, in Las Vegas. That's September. That's August 25. So less than 1 year ago, something like 8 months ago. Okay. When I attended that, there were no less than 50 booths, so no less than 50 places, consultancies, vendors, partners, end users, so I mean organizations, 50. We are hiring. We want you. If you know something about coding, about apps, mobility first, cloud first. If you know something about apps, we want you. We are glad you're here. We are hiring. Get an interview with us. No less than 50. Truth to be told, of course, it was the Black Hat conference. What would you expect? But it could be a hacking conference without people saying, if you know something on cybersecurity, if you understand network security, if you are passionate about the internet and the future, we are hiring. And in a world that is having a, tough times, certainly in Spain, high unemployment rate, and other countries in Europe, I think there's a massive opportunity. And we see that at ISACA, and there are 1 million unfilled jobs. And especially in my country, I apologize, this is in Spain, in Spanish, because this is El Periódico, this is one of our major newspapers. This is from September, so 7 months ago. Specifically said the general manager of Google Spain said that Barcelona, not just Spain, Barcelona will have 10,000 jobs unfilled. Google, saying that just one city in one country in Europe we will need because of Internet of Things, because the digital hub, this is the next year, so next year is now. Next year is 2015, 10,000 unfilled jobs. That they require a different set of skills. And what we realized at ISACA is that, okay, you could be a developer, and I know that there are developers in this room, you do magical things, but maybe security is not the priority when you develop, I guess. Maybe there are auditors in the room, and auditing is okay, but there's the opportunity, the massive opportunity of changing gears, or not just understanding auditing, but maybe going into the cybersecurity wave, because that will shape our society. Cyber whatever, cyber everything will shape what we are as society and the implications of the use of technology, and I'm going to show you some of the things in a second, okay? Another toy, just to wake you up. By the way, is my tile and my USB around? I'm not forgetting. Okay, right. So if you haven't done so, I strongly suggest go to the website, the ISACA website for cybersecurity. Nexus is pretty good. We explain the certification. We explain the deliverables. And by deliverables, I mean something like that. These books, you read them in a commute, in a couple of commutes. Advanced Persistent Threats. Does it ring any bell, APTs? Advanced Persistent Threats. How to manage the risk to your business. Transforming cybersecurity with COVID-5. There's another one, I haven't brought it. Responding to cyber attacks. Those are 109 pages. You can read it on a commute. Most of them with a strategy, tactics, action plan. So it's not even text. Certainly there's text. But pretty understandable. That's the kind of value that I think the society needs. Transforming cybersecurity, responding to targeted cyber attacks, how to manage the risk to your business. Because we were inspired by something that the NIST, National Institute for Standards and Technology, NIST, N-I-S-T, in the US says, which is the governance definition. Governance goes before management in the dictionary. Management starts with an M, governance starts with a G. And the definition of governance, if I may, has 4 columns, 4 variables. Setting a strategic direction, making sure that objectives are met, strategy and tactics. I don't have today to run into that, but I think it's a beautiful session, maybe for the future if you invite me, but from strategy to tactics. But the other 2 says that governance is about ascertaining that the risks are managed, and resources are being used in a responsible way. Resource is being used in a responsible way. What's a resource? The network is a resource. Cloud is a resource. Mobility is a resource. People's skills are a resource. Does it ring any bell? 1 million unfilled jobs. People's skills are a resource. Resources being used in a responsible way. So, does it work? Yep, there we go. So, we have a fantastic framework called COVID-5. It's a governance framework. It's another session, and I know you are pretty much doing things with COVID-5, and I know you've done trainings, etc. But I strongly suggest to take a look at COVID-5, just to realize that in terms with cybersecurity Nexus, and this is Europe. I'm not talking about the NIST now. This is Europe, right? Or it was. No, this is Europe. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm just joking. So the European, I'm joking. The European Cybersecurity Implementation Series. Each bullet is a book. There's no excuse. If you don't understand cybersecurity, okay, you have the opportunity. The overview, the assurance part, the resilience part, the risk guidance part. And on top of that, this is the NIST framework. But the NIST framework in the US, and I can tell you that the CEO of ISACA on Friday, today is Tuesday? On Friday at Stanford University, the CEO of ISACA, Matt Loeb, was with Obama. Obama at Stanford University was addressing cybersecurity. He invited CEOs of around the world, mainly in the US, let's face it, but CEOs, 100 CEOs, one being Tim Cook from Apple, the other one being Michael Dell, and 98 others, one being the one from ISACA with Obama on Friday, so the day before yesterday. Why? Because explicitly the NIST framework, let me say that strong, explicitly the NIST framework gets inspiration on COVID-5. Explicitly the NIST framework for the US gets inspiration on COVID-5, and I think that's huge, okay? So other things, and I'm gonna be finishing soon, just in case you think, okay, but this is, the cybersecurity is probably in a tech world, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but we have the deliverable, which, by the way, is being produced with the Institute of Internal Auditing, what the board of directors need to ask on cybersecurity. You can download it if you're a member. You can download it. Or, I mean, even if you have to pay, I think it's 15 euros or 20 euros. So, and for members, it's free. What I'm just saying is that there's no excuse on I don't understand cybersecurity. And actually, this session hopefully opened your mind into the field of cybersecurity. But there are deliverables not just for you, but also for board of directors. What they need to know, what they need to ask. I'm about to finish soon. You know, my name is Ramsés, so I need to bring something Egyptian into the presentation. That's the Rosetta Stone. Okay, you know the Rosetta Stone better than me, because actually there's ancient Greek in here. And there's Egyptian in here and Demotic script in here. But that's Greek, ancient Greek. That was the dictionary of the epoch. We were able to discover what these guys were saying because ancient Greek. That was the dictionary of the epoch. That was the translator of the epoch. And while I acknowledge that your business line manager, your CTO, your CFO, and others might not understand cybersecurity, or spam, or viruses, or keyloggers, or single sign what, or a strong authentication. I don't know what you're saying, Ramsés. Okay, I understand that they don't know, but you do. But you do. You come to these sessions and you speak with vendors and consultancies and with friends and colleagues here at ISACA and other associations exactly because you care or you want to care. So there's no excuse on they don't know what I'm talking about. Well, you do. They don't know the impact on misbehaving. Well, you do. You have a clear understanding because I told you so. What it has already happened. 56 million credit cards, 70 million credit cards. 1 billion euros, that's from yesterday, I guess. That's from yesterday. Banks, real money. Real money. I'm not talking about bitcoins or virtual money, real money, okay? So you can be the translator of the epoch. I think that you can be the translator of the epoch. And the time is now. Really, the time is now. And before finishing, I have 3 more slides and I'm finishing, but I promise I wanted to show you something else. It's a pity that is not fully charged, because I was using it yesterday and certainly this morning, and I cannot show you, but you guys would love that. That's a bracelet that I put it on my arm. Really, I'm going to pass it over. I need it back again. But it's funny, because when I put it on, you know, of course, without my jacket and my shirt, I look like Iron Man, you know, because I put it here. The thing is that someone has developed, there are sensors in here. I promise what I'm saying is absolutely true. Unfortunately, it's not fully charged. Let me see. No, it's beaming, so, but you can check it out on the internet. I put it in, and someone has developed a full language, which is with my muscles. You can try. When you do this, sorry. When you do this, you move certain muscles in here. When you do this, you move this and this. Someone has studied the body. Someone has developed a whole language. So when you do this, when you do this, when you do this, it's different. The muscles you move are different from when you do that. Next slide, for previous slide. Next slide. That's what I wanted to show. I promised, but it's not fully charged, unfortunately. Next time. Now I have an excuse to come back. But it's funny because you see a guy looking like Iron Man, you know, sort of. Iron Man here, and then I'm moving my slides, not just with my phone. That was cool, I guess, but because I'm seeing the next slide, and so that's cool. But the next big cool thing is that I'm moving my slides like that. Next. Volume up. Literally, down. Next song. I promise. So someone has, I mean, innovation is not stopping. George, correct me if I'm wrong, but yesterday, and you can tell them, probably some of you have already seen it. I have a device with me, and I have it with me, so this I can show. If we have time, probably not, maybe next time. But say if I'm telling the truth or not. I always tell the truth. But I have a device that I literally move my computer with my hand, Minority Report like Minority Report. You remember Minority Report with Tom Cruise? Okay, it's the same without Tom Cruise. Lucky, I wish. But honestly, so it has nothing to do with the camera. It's like the Kinect from Microsoft type of thing. But I put it here. It creates a radar in front of me. And George, am I right that I was moving, you know, Google Earth and the whole computer with my hand without touching anything? What I'm just saying, apart from that it's pretty cool, what I'm just saying is that innovation is not stopping. When you thought that the touch interface was cool, when we thought, of course, now it's the ultimate interface. First it was the mouse. Well, first it was the keyboard. Second it was the mouse. And then it was the touch interface. What's next? Next, you tell me. Actually, again, if I have time, I don't know if we will have time, and some of you have not seen what I'm saying. This I can show because it's fully charged. Unfortunately, not just my band. Hop. I need it back. But check it out. I mean, it's just a bracelet, but I think it's cool. What I'm just saying is that this is very disruptive. And do you remember how I started? That happened overnight. While we were sleeping, the world is not stopping. We are creating new interfaces, new types of interactions. And that's pretty much interesting. So the time is now. The time is now of understanding cybersecurity and or embracing these type of things. So my 3 final slides, literally. Nothing I've told you today was rocket science. Most of the things you already knew, more or less. Most of the things you already knew. So what I'm just saying is that it's time that you ask the right questions to the right people at the right time. Start asking the right questions to the right people at the right time, or get the answers ready for the right people at the right time, because there will be a point in time where your boss will come asking what happened. I mean, there will be a point in time when the auditor comes and asks you what happened. I mean, when the government will come and ask you what happened, or the regulator, or whatever. I was this morning with a friend of mine from CaixaBank, Carlos Soler from CaixaBank in Barcelona, Spain, that he said, we are obsessed, positively obsessed, but obsessed, with having a network forensics readiness platform. Network forensics readiness platform. Whatever happens, I need to know. There's no excuse of, I'm leaving that system behind. Well, no, that platform is too complicated. Forget it. No, that transaction is on the wild. Really? This is how we are managing security these days? Starting to say, well, no, well, not this time. And the guy is obsessed as having a network forensic readiness platform. If someone asks, I have the answer. I know what happened. I know who approved what. You're probably thinking, and maybe you're right, that's too expensive. That's all right. If you think security is expensive, try insecurity. If you think compliance is expensive, and I understand that, try non-compliance. That's pretty much expensive. All right? So nothing I've told you today is rocket science. I'm strongly suggesting you to play this game. And my boy of 6 years old played these games pretty much. Actually, it's very easy. But why? Because he has the resources. He has a blank piece of paper with numbers and a pencil or a pen. And then he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he gets something. He has the resources and the willingness for the goal. He has the resources and the willingness. So in the very same way, I'm strongly inviting you all to connect the dots. Connect people, processes, frameworks, deliverables, common sense, technology. I have already said that, but I work for Dell, so I have to say it twice, technology. Technology. So, but you have to do that. Just connect the dots. Nothing I've told you today you didn't know, more or less. Certainly my mother doesn't, and my daughter doesn't, but you do. You can become the translator of the epoch, the Rosetta Stone. So let me finish. I always finish with a quote, and no one here has seen that. So this is new. George, I know, and you have been in many of my presentations. I've mentioned Frank Sinatra, Bob Dylan, Gandhi, Mother Teresa. This is new for everyone here. So this is Antoni Gaudí. I don't know if you have ever been in Barcelona. It's a fantastic city, and certainly is the city of Mr. Gaudí. You know, La Pedrera, Sagrada Familia, our church. Okay. This guy, fortunately, died with a tram that hit him. So he was a genius, really a genius. If you have not come to Barcelona only for seeing his work, is worth it. And certainly the rest, you know, the beach and the weather and tapas and the rest of the thing. But certainly the Barcelona from Gaudí is awesome. What I love about Gaudí, among many other things, is one of the quotes that hopefully inspires you on doing something and going back to basics. Going back, we might call it cyber threat, cyber security. At the very end of the day, this is about protect and defend. At the very end of the day is understanding what's at stake and then execute. Understanding that I don't want the data from my kids, from the hospital they're being treated, I don't want them to be in the wild tomorrow. And the bank that is dealing with the little money I have, but the bank that is managing my money, I want them to run my money well, to manage my money, but on top of that, get the assurance that my data is not going to be on the paper tomorrow. You know what I mean? So going back to the basics. And some of the basics, some of you who have attended my sessions before, is going back to the roots. Going back to basics. Who, what, when, how, when, where. The 5 simple questions. Let me repeat that. Who said so? What happened? From where to where? Who approved that? Who said so? When did it happen? And those 5 questions, they apply to everything in life. When I argue with my wife, well, she always wins, but that's a universal topic, I guess, so don't worry. But no, honestly, but when something happened with the kids, we say, what happened? When? Who said that? Where did it happen? The 5 simple questions. And you know what? In security and in cybersecurity, that's it. What happened? Network forensic readiness platform. Who said so? Who approved that? From where to where? Origin and destiny. And I think that's important. And I want to finish with that idea, that call to action of doing something, and certainly Gaudí's quote. The guy was a genius. And he left us with this quote. Originality consists in returning to the origin. The guy was obsessed with buildings being combined with nature. Trees and plants and the forest. So being original, being cool, being protective, being modern with my Iron Man band and my tile, and is going back, returning to the origin. understand what's at stake, what can happen, who said so, who approved that, from where to where, origin and destiny. I repeat that where has two meanings, origin, from, to. But that's what I'm really inviting you today, to embrace cybersecurity. There are 1 million unfilled jobs, and fully understand that we are living not just an era of changes. This is not just an era of changes. This is the change of an era. Thank you very much.